Hey everyone, my name is Steven and welcome to Storytime. Today, we're going to be reading some malicious compliance stories. Tales where following the rules can lead to some just desserts. And let me just say, if you're not already subscribed to Storytime, please consider doing so. But with that being said, let's sit back, relax, and listen to some captivating Reddit stories. Can I see some ID? With all the grocery stores in the news from the pandemic, I was reminded of a story from my years working as a cashier at Wegmans. For those of you that have never heard of it, it's a fairly large chain of family-owned grocery stores that are all very nice. Think generic grocery shopping prices in a Whole Foods type atmosphere. Anyway, I hated being a cashier. People can be really testy and rude to the service industry, and it definitely gave 16-year-old me a newfound respect for folks that put up with it every day. One of the annoying rules that Wegmans has is to 100% ID everyone who looked under 40 in the group when there was alcohol in your cart. That rule made so many people upset and ornery, and I hated enforcing it, but I would get reprimanded if they saw I didn't ask. After watching some dude take nail clippers from the display case, clip his nails on my belt, and put the clippers back into the box, I decided enough was enough. I asked to be moved somewhere else with less people. My front-end manager offered to put me downstairs in the wine cellar to be a cashier there. The cellar was simply a lower level of the store that only sold wine. Not a whole lot of foot traffic down there and no nail clipper display cases. I happily accepted. My new manager down in the wine department was something else. Trading off for condescending customers, I now had a condescending, nitpicking manager. There wasn't much to do down there, so he would spend his free time just hovering over my shoulder, watching me scan wine and not pick my performance after a customer left. Why didn't you ID the obviously 45-year-old mother of 3 teenage children? Why are you leaning on the till? Why aren't you going faster? Why didn't you refer them to me for a recommendation of a red/white? I was getting more and more fed up with it, but agreed with my parents that I needed to stay at least to finish out summer. 1 week towards the end of my sentence, the manager came in very frantic looking and called a shift meeting with everyone. He told us that the Wegmans were coming to our store for a visit, and one of their planned stops was the wine cellar. We all needed to be on our best behavior, everything must be clean, and we need to follow all of the rules. Everything needs to be perfect. It's my reputation on the line here. Yes, sir. Understood. So the day comes, my station is sparkling, my shirt isn't wrinkled, I'm standing at attention at the till for hours as they do their store visit. Finally, their entourage comes downstairs, says hello to me, and the manager runs over to greet them and fawns over their every need as they tour the cellar. At one point, Colleen Wegman grabs a cart and starts loading it up with wine that the manager is suggesting. They make their way to the front where I am, and the manager immediately moves right behind me to watch my every move. Hovering. I greet them with the standard, "Hello, did you find everything you needed today?" Opening and began scanning. Then it happened. The first bottle of wine triggered my POS system with the prompt I was waiting for. Age restricted item, enter date of birth. I paused for what felt like minutes. I could feel the manager behind me instantly tense up. What was I going to do? "Can I see some ID, Mrs. Wegman?" My manager freaked out. No, you don't need to ask her for ID. I am so sorry, ma'am. Do you know why that is, Simplex? Why would you ask her for her ID? Well, sir, she looks under 40 to me, and standard policy is to card everyone in the group. The Wegmans all got a good laugh out of that, and Colleen agreed that I was correct and obliged me with her ID. The manager chuckled nervously, but I could tell he was ticked for me derailing his perfect tour with that antic. They bought like $600 worth of wine and went on their way. My 2 weeks was graciously accepted the next day. Hey, OP was just following policy. Good on OP for sticking it to that manager. Impatient professor, we'll just flood your WhatsApp group. I rarely use Reddit, but for the first time today, I was part of an act of malicious compliance. Nothing special, but we had a good laugh about it. So here it goes. Sorry if my English is not perfect, it's not my first language. I am a student in Italy. Right now, we are all quarantined because of the beer bug, but universities are still holding lessons using Google Meet. We have been in contact with our professors during last week via email, WhatsApp, and stuff, And today at 9 a.m. we started our regular lessons as if class was in session. This morning, our main professor, the one holding the most important lesson of our course, sent an email around 10 a.m. telling us he'll be holding his lesson tomorrow. We already knew this because he had told us already multiple times in multiple emails, and in his message he wasn't asking for a reply. He sent this while the whole class was already connected with another professor and following her lesson, so we didn't reply right away. After an hour, he sent another outraged email asking why no one had replied to his super important message yet, considering we are all home and with nothing to do. We were literally following another lesson. All of us. Cue the malicious compliance. 50 or 60 people replying, "Sorry, professor, I was following lesson name. Got it, see you tomorrow." At the same time in our WhatsApp group. After the first 30, he just replied, "Okay, I got it, you made your point." I told you it was nothing special, but we are easily entertained during this quarantine. Any little thing you can do during this quarantine to have some fun sounds good to me, especially when it comes to all the schoolwork you still have to do. One day or 14, your choice. So with the world being on fire at the moment, we were told last week that everyone in my role had been granted essential worker status. As they are expecting our team to pick up the slack for the rest of the company, we were told on Friday that all holidays and non-essential leave, hospital appointments, bereavement, etc., had been cancelled. I was due to be off today because I was meant to be taking my nieces out for the day as a fun treat. Obviously, we're not going anywhere anymore, but they were both really excited to spend time with their uncle, so I had planned some things to do around the house instead. Cut to this morning and my boss is ringing me to make sure I'm on my way to customer A's. I explained to him that you can't cancel a holiday for Monday on Friday evening and expect me to go along with it. I had this day booked off for months and I was taking it. He threatens to give me an official disciplinary meeting if I don't get in work right away. I cough loudly down the phone and explain to him if he wants to play that game, then I'm self-isolating and he can see me in 2 weeks. I ask him again if he's now okay with me having today off and he says no. I explain to him that I will contact HR and let them know I'm beginning my quarantine period and will contact them again in 14 days to see if I'm ready to go back. I feel for OP because they scheduled this well in advance and they deserve to have this holiday off, so I'm hoping that the boss doesn't try to find some extra way to have revenge after the 2 weeks is over. Give it to me for free or I will leave. Be me, be supervising cashier at a hardware store, store closes in 5 minutes. Cashier comes up to me and asks me to find a SKU for some dryer ducts that have no barcode. Can't find the accurate SKU, so I decided to walk over and ask the customer what the price was, length was, etc. Go up and started asking him what the price was. Couldn't even finish the first sentence before in a very aggressive tone say, "I already freaking told her I don't know the price. Now if it's gonna be this goddamn much of a hassle, either give it to me for free or I'll just go." I said okay to him and to leave the store and took the ducks towards the return cart. He responds with, "Really, you're gonna do this?" "Yep, I sure am. Have a great night." He stormed out the door. What was this customer asking for? This customer got exactly what he was asking for. They're not gonna let him have it for free. Be unreasonable, get a bad reward. Get the crickets you pay for. I work in a small local pet store where we sell crickets. We sell cricket cards. They are basically a card that has a given 250 crickets. The cards are $20 and you save quite a bit of money by using them. Customers would tell us how many crickets and what size, and we would go get them and scratch off the amount of crickets wanted. The bugs are bought in increments of 10, so someone couldn't get 15 crickets but had to get 10 or 20. One day, I had a lady come in and ask for 20 large crickets. I ran and got them and handed the bag of crickets to her. She stares at the bag for a few seconds and almost immediately blows up, yelling about how I tried to rip her off, giving her less crickets than she ordered and all that. She said that she wanted to get exactly what she paid for. She wanted me to count them. Fine. I grabbed a pair of tongs and another bag and counted. She got 24 bugs. I apologized and took the extra 4 crickets. She started yelling that she wanted the few extra crickets. I just looked at her and, trying my hardest to keep a straight face, told her, You get exactly what you paid for. She turned a maroon color and stormed towards the door. She didn't know this, but we have 2 separate entrance and exit doors. She tried to exit the entrance door. I told her that the other door would let her out and to have a good day. I haven't seen her since. That's a really good system. My only thought is maybe in the past she got cheated, maybe not at this store but somewhere else, and maybe that's why she complained or called them out, but obviously she shouldn't have. Can he have at least one? My father worked as a police officer starting in the early 1950s in a mid-sized city. He walked a beat in the north part of the city. Yeah, it was before police cars and radios. When he got to a payphone, he used his dime to call the operator. She refunded his dime and connected him to the station to report all was well. As the years went on, he decided to try for promotion. I remember him studying many thick tomes for long periods. He finally got promoted to sergeant and he transferred into homicide investigation. As a homicide investigator, he was often called upon to interview people currently held within city jail. The city jail was headed by a captain at the top. It was jail policy that the investigators wait until it was convenient for the jail staff to provide the inmates requested for an interview. This meant long wait times usually. Inmates get fed, go to the nurse's office or to court, talk to their lawyers, moved into other cells, etc. Then it happened. A man wearing 2 prosthetic arms killed another man by striking him in the head with one of the arm hooks. According to my dad, the man wore a type of harness and elastic which caused the hooks to function. My dad took the arms and placed them inside the evidence room as murder weapons. Then he dropped the suspect off at the city jail. It took about a week and my father was summoned to the district attorney office in City Hall. When he entered the office, there sat the captain of the jail. Needless to say, the jail captain was livid. The DA asked my dad if he placed an armless man in the city jail. My dad told him yes. The DA asked where his arms were. My dad explained they were possible murder weapons and had been placed in the evidence locker for testing and safekeeping. The jail captain interrupted and stated the arms had to be returned immediately because the staff was having to feed the inmate and wipe his butt when he used the bathroom. He accused my father of deliberately taking action to cause issues due to the jail policy of assigning homicide investigators long wait periods to interview folks held in the jail. This was the first inkling the DA had of what was happening in the jail. He told the captain the homicide investigators were acting in his name, carrying out their duties, and were to be an override to any jail priority short of full-scale rioting. And if that was an issue, he would gladly walk down the hallway with the captain to the chief's office to discuss it further. The captain looked sullen but agreed reluctantly. Then the DA asked my dad if it would be possible to give the inmate at least one arm so he could function while in jail. My dad said it could be done if he wished it. And that was how the new jail policy came about. The funniest part of this story is the fact that at some point they got this armless guy who was charged for homicide. Somebody had to sit around like, wait, this armless dude was charged for homicide? He was jailed? What? Yes, his arms were murder weapons. What a story. Why don't you just let me drive? Okay. This is going to be short but funny. I am a female part-time paramedic for a private ambulance company. I don't have a set schedule and pretty much just fill a hole in the schedule once or twice a week while on my 4 days off from my main job to keep my skills up and have extra cash. The greatest thing about this is that I get to pick my schedule and the EMT I'm working with. Yesterday, I was working with an EMT I had worked with in the past. Let's call him Blaine. So Blaine and I are getting kicked around from post to post by dispatch, filling holes left while other units run calls. Blaine decides he's hungry and pulls into a Wendy's parking lot. I should mention here that the ambulance we were in yesterday is a giant diesel behemoth. They're heavy, cumbersome. They have a huge patient compartment that I love, but they are a pain in the butt to drive in a cramped parking lot. Oh, and did I mention it was prime lunch hour in a senior-dominated part of town? Yeah. So the Wendy's is right at the edge of this parking lot and it's madness. People are trying to zip out of there and get back to work. The parking lot is nearly full, and we're trying to avoid making patients out of the elderly pedestrians who can't see or hear our elephant of an ambulance. I noticed that it would be easier to just go straight around the outside of the drive-thru and park outside of the Wendy's parking lot, but still within the shopping complex. I said, "Why don't you go around?" Blaine, who was a sassy black woman in another life, in contrast to his current nerdy white self, says, "Why don't you just let me drive?" I love Blaine. He's got a point. He pushes the pedal and I push the drugs. He gets his food and we start heading towards the actual designated posting location, which is on the backside of the shopping center we're in. Now, Blaine is about to make a wrong turn headed towards a main street. You can get to the posting this way, but it's rough in an ambulance, with elderly drivers and the public in general. And he did say that I should just let him drive. He makes the turn and is committed to his decision when he realizes his mistake and says as much in a colorful fashion. I muse, "I wonder if you knew that." Blaine says, "Why didn't you tell me?" "You did tell me to just let you drive." We never made it to the posting. We were kicked out on a call before Blaine had to fight pedestrians and traffic to correct his error, and Blaine had to eat a cold cheeseburger after we dropped the patient off at a hospital with terrible offload times. The end. This absolutely sounds like a kind of a good buddy movie to me. I think I would enjoy the story if it was incorporated into a bigger buddy movie like that. And yeah, he did say just let him drive. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching and listening to the Storytime channel. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing and let us know what you thought about these stories in the comments below. Thank you all again for watching and listening to the Storytime channel.